Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Saturday, the 15th of September, 2012. The busy period continues, but no threats to the United States. That also continues. Hurricane Nadine up here finally made it to hurricane strength, and of course it did so up here in the subtropics instead of down in the deep tropics where you would expect it to happen. It's just been one of those kind of years, very strange, with very, very hard-pressed development where you would normally see it between Africa and the Lesser Antilles and Central America. Virtually no development at all this year in the Caribbean Sea, and everything really struggling until all of these systems get out into the subtropics. A very interesting phenomenon. I hope to learn more about that at next year's National Hurricane Conference, which will be held in New Orleans. A lot of the world's top minds gather at these conferences, and certainly the national spotlight on U.S. interest in hurricane impacts. And I'm going to ask, what was the reason for all of this dry mid-level air out here, and how can you tell if that's going to be a factor in successive seasons? So we'll see. Looking at the visible satellite picture, you can see Nadine, pretty well organized here as a Category 1 hurricane. A lot of dry air still sitting out in the tropics. This tropical wave probably one of the last that we will see of the season. There'll be a couple more, I'm sure, but not in the succession that we've seen them in the recent weeks. And this will head on to the west-northwest and get into the climatologically favored region in about a week. And we'll see what happens, if conditions will allow it to develop, or will it just wither away like a plant without water. In the eastern Pacific, Tropical Depression 12E, not going to menace anybody. It's going to head out into the ocean, staying in the ocean. Christie streaming a little bit of its moisture up into the United States as it gets strung out due to trophiness in the region and wind shear, and is sitting over colder water, so it's starting to unwind. A visible satellite picture of this region as well. You can see that, a little bit of mid to high level moisture coming across the Baja and the Gulf of California here into the southwest United States, as well as western Mexico. Here's TD12E, headed towards the colder water. Not going to be a factor for anybody except any shipping interest out in that region. The Madden-Julian Oscillation, something we will be watching for to see if we have one last burst of activity in the Atlantic Basin before things really get shut down as we get into fall. And right now the GFS operational model, the high-res operational, showing that the phase heads towards 8, and we really need to see it head towards 1 and 2, according to research from Dr. Phil Klotzbach at Colorado State University. You are far more likely to have the development of tropical cyclones when the MJO moves through this region here. That being said, look at what we had in August when we developed Isaac, was right around this time period. And so we're going to have to see if the forecast from the GFS and other models indicate a turn into phases 1 and 2, which would favor the Western Hemisphere and Africa. Anywhere in the Atlantic Basin is really what we're going to be looking for if it gets into these regions. There's no guarantee that it will, and it's very, very difficult to explain the drivers behind it. But the models, the ECMWF, the GFS, the UK Met, and others have their own MJO forecasts. And on Monday I will go into it in a little bit more detail and show the different versions, the GFS versus the ECMWF or the Euro. And we'll see what's possibly ahead for the rest of the season, at least September into October. And then after that we start dropping cold air into the basin, and we really start to shut things down. Pretty rare to have landfall threats after about mid-October. They do happen, certainly, but they start to get more and more rare. Well, there you go. A quick look at the tropics for today. No threats to the United States, so enjoy the beach weather out there. Still officially summertime, so have fun and don't worry about what's happening, because nothing tropical in nature is heading our way. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always a pleasure to produce these videos for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. Have a good rest of your weekend. I will be back tomorrow with another update. And then, like I said, a more comprehensive look at the tropics and the future, what's ahead, on Monday.